14. Yeah, we're on episode 14. And
14.
You know, for those that don't know, I'm sure you guys probably know who I am now. This is AJ Vasquez. We also have
Patty Vazquez,
and our guest today is
Darin Dupont, local attorney here in Merced, born and raised in Merced County, and also running for Merced City Council District 1 seat, which is an open seat.
Right on. And then this is the candidate that we are backing for District 1 from the association.
Absolutely.
So they do have our stamp of approval from the county and the Board of Realtors.
What did it say? We endorse?
Yeah, we endorse.
Yeah.
We endorse. So yeah, I kind of feel bad for District 3 because we don't have like an endorsement. Like all three candidates are really great in our eyes. So it's just like kind of pick who you're vibing with on that one. So, but for you, for District 1, actually, so this is the guy, and then tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so Darin Dupont again, born and raised in Merced County. I actually went to Butte Colony in Atwater. From there, I went to Merced College for 2 years. So I did the community college route a little bit because I was still playing baseball at that time. So I went and played baseball for a semester there, and was thinking more of a long-term career of what I wanted to do. So ended up stopped playing baseball, got involved in politics and government in and around Merced, and then I ended up going to George Mason University in Northern Virginia, just outside Washington, D.C. Got my bachelor's degree in public administration with a concentration in public policy. Then I went to law school, and from there I got my Juris Doctorate. I'm a first-generation graduate student, so my dad was the only one to have a undergrad degree. I was the second to get an undergrad degree in my family, and then went to law school. And now I practice here in town, civil law, from business to property to litigation, all different aspects of law. So that's a little bit about myself here in Merced.
Awesome.
So
All right.
what made you go the politics and the law route?
Yeah.
Because your parents didn't.
No, my parents are not involved in politics. My dad works for UPS. He's actually worked there for 35 years. My
Awesome.
mom works for the county. And so it was really my decision to get into politics. And the reason is really from school. When I was younger, I took an interest in government, and it was just so interesting to me how federal government works.
Right.
We were learning about FDR at the time, and he really sparked that energy in me of wanting to serve people because of just what he went through during his presidency, not only having polio, but also the Great Depression during that time. And so I was hooked kind of, and just wanted to be a part of government, part of politics in some sense. Didn't know if I would ever run, but actually be a part of government and policy.
Gotcha. Yeah, so FDR is correct me if I'm wrong, the only president to serve 4 terms.
That's correct.
That is
that's
correct.
why we have the 22nd Amendment, 22nd Amendment of the United States.
I remember that. You bring him up, and I just remember I was like, one of the things is like walk with a big stick. Like,
Yeah,
was
so
that him?
That was actually Theodore.
Okay, so I knew it was a Roosevelt.
That was his cousin.
Yeah, I knew it was a Roosevelt.
He was the one that had polio. FDR had polio during his presidency, and was in the last half of his presidency was actually in a wheelchair most of the time. And he kind of willed his way and willed the country out of the Great Depression and a lot of what he did. So a lot of that like passion and desire to help people and bring people out of a bad situation and bring the country out of a bad situation, that was amazing to me. So I wanted to be a part of that.
Yeah.
That's also why I went to law school, because most of the statesmen and elected officials during that time, and even still now, are attorneys. It's for specific reasons of the law is drafted in very specific ways, and language is used in very specific ways.
Correct.
And you change the way in which you learn and read and write when you go to law school, and to understand really any laws in the state of California and ordinances or regulations, a law degree is helpful because you read that every single day.
That's like a foreign language to me. Like
Yeah.
when it comes to law, like it's just a complete foreign
There's
language
so
to
many
me.
big terms, different terms.
Yeah.
It's just different
Legalese.
terminology.
Yeah,
legally,
legalese.
legally speaking.
Yeah.
Yeah, allegedly is my favorite.
Yeah.
My favorite term. Allegedly, I went to the store. No.
Yeah.
Is your wife into law? Like, did she go to school? I don't think so, right?
My wife is she's not into politics.
That's the right question.
She
That's
does.
the right question.
She does not do anything in politics. Actually, I try not to bore her with the details, in politics. She's actually has a way better job and is way more of a saint than I am. She's a special education teacher in Atwater. This is her 6th year teaching.
Wow.
The patience that woman has is amazing.
It takes a lot to
It does.
to be a teacher.
So
You're a
what-
sub.
Yeah, I'm a sub.
Okay.
I sub on Mondays, but I was going to ask about what school does your? Well, hold on. Let's not.
Let's
Let's not go to that. But she's in the Atwater area,
She
so
is.
she does. So what's like? I know it's special ed, but like, does she deal with like
Yeah, so
kids who
she-
are autistic or anything like
Yeah,
that?
so she has an SDC class, which is a
Okay.
special day class, which she has those kids all day long.
Okay.
And then she also has an RSP load, which is, sorry to use acronyms, but the resource load. So those
Okay.
are kids that may not need to be in class full time, the special day class, but still need some form of help in any other way. And it could be educational, it could be behavioral, whatever
Okay.
it may be. So she has both that she works on, and it's about 30 kids that she
Wow.
works with. Yeah,
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying
It's a big classroom.
the passion. Yeah, well, all day she has a full, I think, like 8 or 12.
Mm-hmm.
But then she has kids coming in and out
okay.
throughout the day.
Yeah, so I know what I know how it is to deal with someone who has autism. Like my son, he's autistic, so for him, and I have just one for sure that has autism, and the patience that you have to have with that kid is incredible. But to do it with 30 other students is amazing.
Yeah, it is.
So I have a lot of respect for that.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. She has a
passion.
a better career and better
And
impact.
And you know what? You know what's crazy? So everybody's like, "Oh my God, autism! He's autistic," but it's just it has a weird stigma. Like they need all this help and all. Obviously, they need some help in certain aspects of it. Because I know my son was a little delayed on like the whole potty training thing, but then like in other aspects where I've talked about this on the podcast before. He's like super intelligent, but like sometimes his maturity when it comes to certain things is not where it should be.
Yeah.
So that's why they call it. There's a wide spectrum of it. So.
In a lot of aspects, I mean, they're very smart and
Yes.
Things that like myself, would not be as educated or have a better understanding.
Right.
And it's just, I mean, that's kind of
It's a talent.
how it
They
is.
don't
It
do
is.
that we don't.
And one day, like out of the blue, I think he was like 2.5. Like he just started saying the months of the year backwards. So I'm like, where did you learn how to do that? And then he was like, I don't know. And he just went on about his day. And I'm like,
Amazing.
so I go, hey, can you say your alphabet backwards? And he said it, no problem. And I was like, oh, that'll come in handy later down the road. So I kind of made that joke.
That's crazy.
But
What are some of the changes you want to see in Merced?
Great question.
I know there's a lot.
There's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot.
It's a great question though, because Merced, and I've always talked about this, is Merced is at a crossroads really in what we can do. We can continue on this path of growth and bringing better opportunity to Merced. A lot of the ways that's kind of tailed off this past year, or we can go in a different direction and just say have no growth, nothing, and just kind of hold back on all our policies. That's not what I want to do. I think Merced is poised to be one of the best cities in the Central Valley, not only with a UC, but with the people that were born and raised here and live here. There's a foundational value of hard work and dedication for each other and your city, and we need to foster that. So in a lot of ways, it's helping that growth. So if it's development, housing, economic development, job opportunities, and continuing our support of both the police department and the fire department, a lot of that aspects will be very impactful for the future. And so those are some of the the high level things, and we can get into the details of like specific things that I'm looking to do for the city, and actually hopefully advocate for that will help impact all the community as a whole.
Okay.
Awesome.
Can you give us one or two examples?
Yeah. So
What's your top one? Your top priority?
Yeah.
my top priority is economic development.
Awesome. Love to hear it.
I mean, we've been lacking in that department, in that area, for quite some time. In the past couple of years, we failed to bring in, I think, big businesses that can bring in different job opportunities. We're losing out to communities like Chowchilla and Turlock on manufacturing and distribution centers.
Yeah,
which,
the AutoZone is the first one that comes to my
right.
mind.
And well, in Turlock got an Amazon. So I mean, stuff like that. It's like, why is Merced missing out on those opportunities? We shouldn't be. I mean, we're a city of now, I think, 100,000. With annexation of UC Merced, we should not be missing out on those opportunities. And it's marketing, it's passion, it's advocacy to ensure of Merced is the place to be. Merced, it has all the tools and opportunities and people that are willing to go to work. I wouldn't question anybody here in Merced that's not willing to go to work. It's just, what kind of job opportunities do we have?
Right.
And on the other side as well is, we have a UC Merced that a lot of the degrees from UC Merced don't correlate to the jobs we have in town.
Right. So what are those jobs that we need to get for the UC students that help them come into the community?
Of course.
Well? I didn't mean to interrupt you, but that was just like first thing that popped up to my mind.
That's exactly where I was going.
Perfect.
Is we have a lot of engineering degrees at UC Merced, and it could be a variety of engineering, civil, to mechanical, to electrical, to IT based engineering. And so we just don't have a lot of engineering jobs here in Merced. We have a small handful of engineering jobs, but a lot of those organizations or companies are filled up, and I don't know if they're looking to expand. They haven't expanded yet. So it's providing those opportunities, because those kids that are students that are learning here and setting a foundation here in Merced, when they graduate and they can't find a job, they're going to move to Fresno, Modesto, wherever.
Go back to the Bay Area, LA areas, Bakersfield.
And if we have students that are, a lot of students that are from Merced that go to UC Merced, they get an engineering degree, they can't stay home because there's no jobs. So like bringing in investors, business owners that are willing and able and wanting to work in the engineering field is just one aspect of what we can do, and it's helping facilitate that. We can't tell business owners, come here, you should come here, but we can facilitate of why you should come here.
Right.
What are the best opportunities and abilities for you to grow your company here in Merced?
Okay. You mentioned something earlier about, because I said you're pretty young, right?
Yeah.
To be in politics, to take on such huge responsibility, and you mentioned something about we are the new generation.
Yeah, so I'm 28 years old. Even though I'm 28, I've had a lot of experience in all different aspects of life, and so there's a time that we come where the new generation has to take over at some point of figuring out how we can grow not only the city but the country. In reality, and we're getting to a point where you're starting to see that that shift. A lot more young people are involved in key aspects in the city or in the country, and we need to continue that. And so, when people say, "Well, man, you're young," there's a good rhetoric and a good feedback from that. When I am talking to voters and going door to door, they're like, I like that.
I like that.
It brings in new perspective.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I've been to DC, I've lived in Sacramento, I've kind of been all over the country in different aspects. My wife went to school in South Dakota, so I've been in and around South Dakota as well. And so it's just bringing new perspective instead of the same old Merced. Yeah, I mean, when you stay in Merced all your life,
That's all you know.
all you know is Merced.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I wanted to go away, wanted to learn and have different experiences, because DC and Northern Virginia are totally different than
How
California.
was that?
It was great. I mean, as a young individual, I was 22, 23, 24 years old. It's great because it's very fast paced, and it's very cutthroat. So DC is someone's looking to take your job, or you're looking to take someone else's job. That's just how
Gotta be
DC
on
is.
your toes.
Yeah, you got to be on your toes. But there's a lot of good aspects of how people think and how they approach things. And so, I lived in where George Mason is located, Fairfax County. It's the third richest county in the nation.
Wow.
Just the county west to it is the first richest county in the nation while I was going there. So it's a whole new perspective of how they approach problems and infrastructure. I mean, they rarely have any issues with infrastructure, meaning streets, roads, sidewalks, curbing, gutters, because of just having
Financials,
having that
right? Like there's
financial
money.
stability. So it was definitely an interesting and helpful learning tool.
Was that like an eye opener? Like, man, I wish Merced, or we could bring that.
Well, I mean, it's an eye opener in the sense of what we can and can't do. We're not the third richest county in the
Right.
nation.
No.
We're not the first richest county in the nation. But streets and sidewalks and roads, gutters, curbing are still important to the community. And so it's one of the things that I want to make sure we're staying on top of, because we do have an older infrastructure here in Merced, and that has a visual impact to people that are coming into Merced.
Right.
So when you're trying to market an area, you're like, okay, I can see myself here. I can feel myself here. There's a wanting to invest in roads, streets, sidewalks, and I know District 1, we need a lot of repair and an aging infrastructure.
First impression.
Yeah, first impressions are everything. So,
Yeah.
I forgot where I was going to go with that.
No, I mean, they are. First impressions are everything, and that's exactly why we need to have a plan for District 1 in the sense of what our economic development, what our housing development looks like. Because if we imagine, right, people coming, students and families that are wanting to go to UC Merced are coming from the Bay Area or LA or even Fresno, they're going to get off at Campus Parkway, because that's going to take them to the UC.
That's the first step, and that's the fastest way to get there. Yeah.
And Campus Parkway is in District 1. So it's the first impression that we can make to those that are coming into Merced of, man, this feels like a place that I can call home, a place that I can go to school. What do we want that to look like? And we want, for me, I want it to look like growth. I want it to look like it is a place that you can call home. It is a place that you can raise a family and feel safe here.
Come and invest. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I heard UCSF is also opening a facility at the UC Merced for medical.
That'll be good.
And there was a grant granted for Central Valley kids that want to pursue that. And I thought, somebody told me this person works at the UC. I was like, that's pretty great. And that would probably bring a lot of people and students, more than what we have, into Merced. So going back to like first impression, like that's important, because if not, then those kids are gonna leave, right?
Yeah.
Goes
Yeah,
back
I
to
mean,
that.
and that's important because we need better healthcare here
We do.
in the city of Merced. So, that partnership between UC Merced and UCSF is very important to ensure that we have doctors and
Nurses.
physicians and nurses down the line, and it's the new generation of doctors, nurses,
Yeah, absolutely.
and physicians. So healthcare is important.
Yeah, I mean, you touch on that, and I'm just talking about my shoulder about a week or two ago. Like, went to go get the tested out and stuff like that. Got approved for the MRI. Just found that out today.
Nice.
So, but I had to go to Fresno for that, and it's not that I don't trust the doctors here, but it was more of like an athletic injury. So it's like, you know what, that's probably best for me to go to Fresno because they have the Fresno State Bulldogs there. Went to those doctors. So, but it's like, we want that from Fresno, but here in Merced. So that's like a right step in the right direction, in my opinion, partnering up with UCSF. So.
It is, yeah. And, UC Merced, in a lot of ways, we've been very hesitant on how much we partner and try to partner with UC Merced because of the rhetoric of what UC Merced has brought over the years. But for me, I think it's a strong partnership that we need to continue to develop and grow because they can bring a lot of benefits to our community. You have a UC Merced extension department that works on trying to figure out gaps in employment. So if we are struggling to find, for example, social workers or someone else in government, this UC Merced extension helps bridge those gaps in certificated programs, qualifications, so that individuals that are looking to change careers or need a career change or looking for a job, they can receive this type of education and certification and qualify for the jobs that we need. And so we need to fill those gaps, and that's one way we can do it is through UC Merced Extension.
Right, and then let's not also forget, because I'm like a big advocate for trade school, even though I do have my degree in communications and stuff like that. But Merced College is a great resource for trades and everything like that. So
same token as what I was just talking. Merced College has been doing it for many years and will continue to do it, and their growth is amazing. And I mean, I went to Merced College. It's how I started my upper education.
Right.
And without Merced College, I would not be sitting here, would not have become an attorney. So they're very important.
Absolutely. I went to Merced College as well. I mean, it took me a little bit of time to get out of Merced College, but once, it was the stepping stone that I needed to get to, a Stan State and get my degree with them. So I am thankful for that. So now that I do have my degree, I just, I felt like I wasn't like a college type of person. I still feel like I wasn't.
So you were done.
Until I was done, I was like, wow, I actually did that. And then now I talked to my dad. I was like, man, there's a lot of people that are getting these degrees and then they can't get a job. But I always reiterate, to the students that I teach, it's like, dude, it's okay if you don't go to college.
Yeah.
Like, it's not for everybody, and I understand that. You can still make money even in this small town if you don't have a degree. And trade school, if you got to do something, it's either trade or you go to college. You got to do something to get that higher education or post high school education, I should say.
Right. Yeah. No, I totally agree.
How long have you been practicing law?
So I'm on my third year now. So next May I'll be going into my fourth year of practice.
Like
I enjoy it. There's better days than others.
Like every.
Yeah, like like every career. But I enjoy it. There's a lot of growth and things that you learn while being an attorney. A lot of things that you get to impact as being an attorney in different ways. I've been kind of blessed in my young career to help some organizations and businesses and individuals in various ways, and various ways to impact Merced as well. And then I also do juvenile dependency. So
really?
I get to kind of see the whole aspect of Merced. And advocate for parents in court, and so I usually spend at least 2 to 3 days in court in juvenile dependency as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really good.
It's definitely heavy. It's
I
definitely
did not
heavy.
See that coming.
Definitely heavy stuff, but it's a good.
It's a whole different aspect.
Yep.
You're dealing with.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it brings perspective to your own life and really the community as well.
Wow. Well, thank you for doing that.
Yeah, that's
seriously.
That's a nod to that. Well, I mean, so my mom asked me, hey, would you want to sub at juvenile hall? And I'm like, I don't know if I can do that. And then I asked her, I was like, well, is it a classroom setting or is it more of an independent study?
Yeah.
And they're like, no, it's a classroom. I was like, no, I like working with students like more one-on-one. And the students that I do get are a lot of those like in like the gang life, or the very troubled kids, and a lot of the students that it's trying to break down those barriers with them because they have their guard up and they're, they feel like the world is against them. And then once you get to that level of like you can talk to them like as a human, they adapt and they grasp everything so much. I have one student that I just saw not that long ago, and he's like, "Hey, I want to say thank you." I'm like, "For what, man?" And he's like, "Just talking to me like a human instead of like my appearance." I'm like, it's not in my nature to talk to somebody like how they put it. Well, it depends. So let me just reiterate, it depends. But in that industry, like in the teaching industry, you want to get to that relationship and get to them before they go down that path of destruction that's going to end them in jail or 6 feet under. And I told him, I was like, if you keep going down the route that you're going, that is going to happen to you. And when you take it into that perspective of like, hey, let's get you out of that, let's get you, graduate you through high school, let's get you on the path to getting a career and getting this so you can become a contributing person to society. So that's
it's sometimes refocusing
Yeah.
Their mindset, right? Instead of focus on this aspect, let's refocus it on the same tools that you're using to on this aspect. Let's do it the same way, but let's refocus it on this task or this path or whatever it may be. And sometimes and I talk to students in high school classes and elementary classes all the time, is kids don't think that they can go to Washington D.C., for example, or go somewhere and do what they want to do, and because they come from Merced, and that's a terrible mindset to have, because you can. I mean, a lot of the foundational skills that you learn in Merced, they really set you up for life in the sense of hard work and dedication to the community and a sense of family and a strong ties to family, and what you will learn from that. Those are all skills that you don't usually learn in other areas, and you can go to Washington D.C. You can do what you set your mind to, as long as you take one step at a time. I mean, that's the key, and it's somewhat what I told myself as I was going through this path and process, and I'm still going through a path and a process. So it's always one step at a time.
Well, you say a lot of the trouble that those kids go through is because of how they were raised, because they went through a lot, because of the lack of support. And the lack of support can be lack of support from parents, lack of support from community, lack of support from law enforcement, and you name it. We could break it down.
Yeah,
but,
I mean, it depends, right? I mean,
on
all those aspects, but sometimes they don't. Kids may grow up and perceive right and wrong different, because of the environment that they grew up in, and it's no fault to their own, because that's just how they grew up. So their right and their wrong are totally different than my right and my wrong when I was growing up, right? And so it's again no fault to their own, but you have to rewire that and refocus that mindset, or it's a discussion of, okay, why do we think that? Because sometimes we as a community and a society, we jump at conclusions instead of just sitting down and asking why. Let's have a conversation of why you think that way, and this is the way I think, and maybe that'll change your mind or not. And if it doesn't, then that's your decision then. Gotcha. Instead of a right or wrong that you were born into.
Black and white.
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy. Does that change, or does that add? How does that affect you as a future parent?
So like my wife and I expecting our first child here in the next month, and everything that I've gone through, I've experienced, will impact things that I do as a parent, and that mindset will lend to that knowledge as well, of learning what's right and wrong and teaching what's right and wrong, and also providing an opportunity for my daughter to learn on her own of what may be right and wrong in her mind as well. So because a lot of ways the best way to learn is to just do, and that's how we learn as human beings, not to touch a hot stove, just all kinds of aspects. So
Yes. See, touching the hot stove reminds me of my youngest. It always reminds me of my youngest. He's the one that's the chaotic one. I call him my little kamikaze kid. Like, he's always like jumping, well, not jumping on things, but like he'll get in spots and I'm like, all right, you're gonna hurt yourself.
Yeah.
Hurts himself,
Yeah.
and I'm like, I told you.
Right.
Gets back up, does it again. I'm like, so I can't use the whole line of like, do it again. That way you'll learn. Like, he'll just keep doing it. So, but yeah. So, but I mean, eventually he'll learn
Yeah.
that it's gonna hurt, and then it's gonna hurt a lot more once he gets older. So.
You do a lot, and I see you a
Yeah.
lot around. What's something we don't know or the community doesn't know about you?
Man, that's
Or that you would like the public to know?
that's
maybe?
that's a good question, because I'm kind of
Very open.
an open book
Yeah.
on a lot of aspects, because I'm a very personable person. I have a lot of discussions with people, and so what you see is
It's
a
what
lot
you
of time
get.
it's
Yeah.
what you get. You know, people sometimes ask like, why do you dress so fancy like all the time, every aspect? One, it's my job. So, you know, I was in court this morning, so I'm gonna be in a suit and tie because that's what's expected.
Right.
And sometimes I go straight to events or straight to things, because that's just
It's your agenda.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's my job. That's where I'm going. That's where I'm coming from. But at the end of the day, you know, I like all aspects of life. I play slow pitch softball at Joe Herb. So
Nice.
I have a very large background in athletics. So I love sports. I grew up on sports. I played a semester of college baseball. Played football and baseball in high school all 4 years. My wife, she went to school in South Dakota to play softball. She actually got a scholarship to go play.
Nice.
So we're a very sport-minded family, and
Physically active.
yeah, physically active and try to stay physically active in the crazy schedule. But
Yep.
and I'm also approachable. Like, I don't feel
You are.
like people can't, you know, call me or approach me and have a conversation, because if right, wrong, or indifferent, if we're gonna have a difference of agreement, then we're gonna have a difference of agreement.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just where we can leave it. But I'm not afraid to have the conversation of, this is my values, these are what I was raised on, this is what I believe, and I'm going to continue to keep that foundational value, and that's, I think, basically who I am.
Are your parents very happy, excited, nervous?
I think they're proud. You know, they've done a lot of due diligence in creating and molding myself, but I have a lot of people to thank in that aspect as well. You know, like I said, playing sports, I was very close to my head football coach, Kevin Swartwood, and
Swarty.
yeah, Swarty.
Yeah. Just cooked for the Merced Hall of Fame dinner with
Yeah.
him. Yeah. He's a really nice guy.
Swarty is amazing, and he's molded and crafted a lot of minds through football here in town, throughout many years between Merced High, Golden Valley, and Buhack Colony, and I still lean on his advice and what he has to say in a lot of aspects, and so I have him to thank. Hobbs, Steve Hobbs, he was a principal at Buhack when I was there. Another one that I lean on and advice, and you know, a lot of the aspects that they bring. A lot of I was very blessed in some of the teachers I had, not only at Buhack but at McSwain, my elementary school as well, which have crafted me to have such a sharp mind. And you know, what my parents have had to do and sacrifice, I thank them for. But the biggest person that's done everything for me and will do everything for me is my rock, is my wife. And it's, you know, I would not be in this position. I would not gone to law school. I would have probably just done something else, not had the passion or drive without her support and her by my side in a lot of aspects. I mean, this December we'll be together for 10 years.
Awesome.
Wow.
That's an
That's a
awesome.
long time.
At least like dating wise, we in May be married 4 years.
Okay.
But so yeah, we've been together for a long time, and she's been very impactful in this journey. I mean, she's traveled this journey with me as well. And so a lot of the struggles that people don't see, and that, you know, I'm not the one to just market my struggles on social media. She was there to pick me up or to push me forward or whatever it was to get me.
Needed to keep you going.
Yeah, because she knows all the struggles I've been through, and I don't talk about my struggles or things that I had to go through or may still be going through, because it's not something that I broadcast.
That's your personal.
Yeah, it's not something I broadcast, but it's not something that I need to broadcast either.
Yeah.
Because
just because you don't show it doesn't mean you don't go through
that's
that.
Right.
That's very true, and I think that's one thing that I'd like people to know is, you know, I'm just as human as everyone else.
Being, yeah.
And some people may think, you know, everything was handed to me on a silver platter. And
I don't think
it's
so.
really
No,
it's really not that case.
I hate that stigma of like the social media aspect of it. You only see the good, you never see the bad. So there's always a story behind the good. There's the bad, the ugly, and then, you know, you eventually get to the good. Like I don't know. That's where I'm at with like social media and stuff like that. So we kind of like put on our best like photo or whatever. So, but it is what it is. But I have a question. It's more of a personal question. What position did you play?
Played quarterback in high school.
Right on. What about for baseball?
I played center field.
Oh, okay. So you were the speedster then, huh?
Yeah, I had a little bit of speed. Yeah, I still play in slow pitch. Still play roam around the outfield.
Right on. Yeah, so in high school, well, from middle school all the way up to high school, I was a catcher, and then, you know, I was slow, but I was like agile. So I was really quick on my feet. It's kind of crazy. People are like, "Oh, they put the slow guy behind the plate." I'm like, we're still pretty fast. And, yeah, we're still pretty fast. It's just fast in a different way.
Yeah,
like
growing up when I was playing Little League, and then I was playing pretty much the juniors in Little League in Atwater. I played catcher or played in the infield, usually second base, because infield wasn't really my thing. So that's where they put those that play second base. That's usually where you put the worst infielder. But once I got to pretty much a sophomore in high school, the head baseball coach at Buhack said, "You're going to go play the outfield," and it was the best decision because I played defense really well and loved the outfield and was fast and hit leadoff in my senior year. So I love sports at Buhack. I was fortunate to go to Buhack in the era of where we were really good in almost every athletic aspect in the whole school. I mean, that was when we went back to back champions.
Awesome.
In football, where we would travel and we were still playing Turlock and Pittman at that time. So
okay. I was wondering. It
was a little bit stronger of a league.
I was wondering if it was like Modesto, Turlock, and Modesto, Turlock. Really, we always went north. I believe,
it was
right?
during that time.
Not Chowchilla's series.
Yeah, during that time it was Turlock, Pittman, Buhack, Atwater, Golden Valley, Merced.
Right.
And so it was us 6. El Cap wasn't
there yet.
Yeah.
There
So
yet.
did you ever get to play Bayer?
Yeah, in baseball and playoffs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bayer was always that tough team. Like they were always tough. I remember in high school they were the one of the teams to beat.
Yeah.
It was them and Turlock High. They were the top two, and then
Turlock's always been.
Pittman just came about. And fun fact, I played against Colin Kaepernick. And he actually threw a heater right into my elbow. That didn't feel very well. So that kind of sucked. And I was hurt from the shoulder injury. Ironically, it was during practice, and a guy was coming home, and I went to go grab it, and I moved. I didn't get out of the way in time, and he kind of hit me, spun me around, and I landed right on top of my shoulder like that. So I still hurting from that, I guess. Yeah. That's probably where it's from too. But
funny enough, the era of football that I was in, so we went back to back. We had guys that went to Cal and Stanford to go play, and even Air Force.
Awesome.
Other D1 colleges, but we'd play teams that were not our non-league schedule was teams that were from all over the place. So Played teams like San Ramon Valley, Sarah, which is where Tom Brady
Wow.
Oh, wow.
went. We played teams like Christian Brothers, Folsom. So I actually played during the era where Jake Browning, he was the quarterback of Folsom, who's now with the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yep.
He was at Folsom, and we were in the playoffs, so I've played against Folsom
That's
as well.
crazy.
Yeah, it is. It's crazy when you like grow up and then you see all these guys
Yeah.
that are playing in the NFL or major leagues. I've got buddies that are pitching in the major leagues that went to BUAC. So.
Who are those players? I kind of have a feeling of who they are, but
Well, so I didn't play with him, but I know him and his family. Dylan Floro is one, and then my era, Dalton Jeffries, a close friend of mine. We played together in high school, and so he's still in the major leagues with the Pittsburgh Pirates.
is that who he went? Because I know he was with the Giants for a
He
little
was,
bit, right?
yeah. So he was with the A's, and then he went to the Giants for a little bit, and then he is now with the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's fun facts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Facts.
So I the only pro that I can think of off the top of my head is Curtis Parch is who I played baseball with. He made it to the Cincinnati Reds.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it was the Cincinnati Reds. He was with the Giants organization at one point for a little bit, and yeah, so I got to play ball with him. Actually, he throws incredibly hard. There was one time he threw a heater, and it hit the plate, and I'm like, this isn't going to feel good. And it hit me directly in the chest, and I was like, I had to take a breather on that one. Oh, yeah. Yeah, and you got to have a different mindset to play catcher. And I tell people all the time, it's not the prettiest position, but it is like it brings out a different side of toughness in certain players. And
yeah, I'm a Giants fan, so I'm very excited for the new hire.
Yes, I'm
Buster Posey,
super excited about that. I'm a Giants fan as well.
And,
so.
As a catcher and just that mindset and the leadership he brought throughout all those years.
Yes.
We'll see what he brings.
Caught a perfect game, a few no hitters. A lot of people don't give the catcher spot the glory that it deserves. So there's a few of them that get it, but not a lot. It's very taxing on the body. Trust me, it's very taxing on the knees, on the the shoulder, everything. But no, I wouldn't change anything at all. That was fun. I love playing ball, and I still kind of play ball, softball. So you mentioned that at Joe Herb. It's a fun spot to go to. Like a lot of people in that area just love to.
I don't think people realize like how many people are at Joe Herb on any given night.
Yeah.
It's a park that it's one that I advocated for to our Parks and Recs department on.
Awesome.
We need to update this.
Yes, I agree. I agree with that.
And Chris Jensen, who's our Parks and Recs director, who did a really good job in getting in the budget this past year.
Awesome.
To update those fields. So
perfect. I love hearing that.
There'll be the fields will be updated, the outfield and the infield.
Good.
Because the outfield has a lot of
gopher holes.
Yeah, gopher holes in it, which is key because there's a lot of people that use that park. Any given night. It's
not just like slow pitch softball. They have flag football out there. They have. Sometimes I believe they have like high school softball tournaments there. I remember they used to have a lot of tournaments.
UC Merced club softball teams, they use.
Yeah, they're starting to use it.
Joe Herb. So I'm trying to figure out different funding options as well of how we can increase how we maintain and operate Parks and Rec as well. Because Park and Rec, we've had kind of a difficulty in maintaining funding sources. And so there could be some ways in which we can increase funding and make sure that we're maintaining those fields on a better basis instead of once every 10, 15, 20 years.
Yeah, because it's been a while since that place has been renovated. I remember back in the 90s when I was growing up, my parents used to play out there for a little bit. They had like a little co-ed team. And where the snack shack is at?
Yeah.
That actually used to be 2 stories.
Okay.
Yeah, so it used to be 2 stories. Something happened. They had a fire and they had to take the top part down and then just like level it out. So that used to be 2 stories. And I remember like foul ball goes out, they would drop a ball and it would come right out from the bottom. So a lot of people don't know that, but I remember it being 2 stories and they had like a little fire there. But so that's how long it's been since it's been renovated. Been a long time.
And you could have slow pitch softball going on any given night, and then pee-wee football going on in the basin field down below as well. So yeah, Joe Herb is used a lot in our community in District 1, so want to make sure that we're maintaining it and operating it in the best way we can.
Yeah.
Good ideas.
Yeah, thanks.
Anybody you want to say thank you? I know you said thanks to a couple people.
Yeah, again, thank you to my parents helping me along this journey. Really thank you to a lot of community members throughout Merced, and even outside of Merced that have been generous in their support, looking to win in November, and actually ballots are out right now.
Yep.
So if you have your ballot,
Go and vote.
yeah, make sure you're voting.
If you're in District 1, Darin Dupont.
That's correct. District 1, Darin Dupont. And really thank you to everyone that has supported me in all types of organizations. Really felt the support from those organizations. And really, if and when I get elected in November, the work only begins, because a lot of that support is looking to see the growth and see the opportunity in Merced. And I think together, between all the organizations and the individuals that have supported me, we can do that for the betterment of all of Merced and District 1. And then lastly, thank you to my wife for helping me through this journey and being with me on this journey. I know the journey's not over, so I'm gonna need her throughout my life. So she's the most important person that I need to thank as well.
I love that. Well, thank you for being here.
Of course, thank you.
It was a pleasure.
Right on. So
That concludes episode 14.
Yep. Do we have
Go
any?
and vote November 6th.
November
5th.
November
5th
5th.
is the last day to get your ballots.
Yeah.
I've kind of already voted.
You did.
Yeah, I kind of already got.
and some people have, and
I marked my bubbles. I got a few propositions that I need to go over. I know Prop 33. We're in favor of no. We're Prop 33 is a no. 36 for me personally is kind of that's a yes. So is there any other ones that we're missing?
I haven't.
You haven't looked at?
I this is what I tell people all the time is look at the propositions. I mean, it doesn't matter who's bringing it forward, if it's Republican or Democrat.
Correct.
We really need to look at the propositions to see how it's going to impact the state of California, because in the past we've passed propositions that have not been beneficial. I mean, it's impacted us. Public safety, in a negative way.
Public safety is the biggest one. That's Prop 36. It's harder on drug crimes and theft crimes. So
it kind of what it does, it rolls back some of the stuff that we did
Prop 44
in
2014.
Prop 47. Yeah.
47. That's right. It was 2014. I remember that, and I was reading it because it said nonviolent crimes on that, and I don't want to get into too many details about that. I'm like, when you first read the headline, it's like, oh, we want to release some of the nonviolent criminals. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah. You actually read it, and it was completely flipping definition of it. I'm like, I'm voting no on this, and I had a feeling it was going to pass.
That's why I went to law school. It's like, what's the definition of nonviolent? Because
it got changed.
You can characterize it as a lot of things. So, and they have, which has kind of hurt us in some ways, public safety wise, in holding people accountable that need to be held accountable. And our system isn't flawless and isn't perfect, but we need to at least give the opportunity to use the tools and all the tools in the tool belt.
Yeah, and absolutely. So there's a big stigma of having a felony on your record, but with this, and I can tell you that I have somebody that I know that was a convicted felon through drug crimes, but he didn't go to, he went to jail, but he didn't go to prison. They said, hey, you need to go get sober, and this was like the second or third time that he ended up doing this, but it was like, hey, look, I need to get my act together, or else I'm going to be on this path of destruction. He got his act together, and it was all because they convicted him as a felon, but they gave him the help that he needed. So it's not like, hey, you're a convicted felon, you're going to go to prison. It's more of, you're a convicted felon. We're going to give you the resources and help you. So there's a big stigma behind a felon. Like I just want to, bring light to that. It's going to be okay. Like I think.
Or just don't convict any felonies.
But I mean,
don't do it.
No, I agree, but getting addicted to drugs is completely different animals. So but it's just getting them the help that they need so they can get off of drugs, so they can become a law-abiding citizen and contribute to the community.
And some people need to hit that bottom, right? So.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like I said, that this is one that I'm very passionate about, that it needs to pass. So it's going to roll back some of what Prop 47 was.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, my advice is always to look into the propositions, because how California does our proposition system, anybody can bring a proposition forward if you qualify for it on the ballot. So read those propositions.
Don't just put yes or no.
Read them thoroughly.
Just because one party's supporting it or not is not the reason why in which to vote for something.
Yeah, I always recommend read it thoroughly, read the pros, read the cons, go do your research before casting that vote. So
of course. Yeah.
Right.
Well, thank you guys. I appreciate the opportunity.
We appreciate you.
It was a great conversation.
Thank you for coming. And
of course.
We'll be seeing you around.
Yeah.
So with that being said, this is going to end episode 14.
Yep.
Right on. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you.
And we look forward to for you winning District 1. I almost said a different district.
No, it's okay. District 1.
District 1. All right. We'll see you later.
Thank you.